ranking.
Hello! Welcome to Apple Book Club. This is the world's best interactive book club that anyone with a computer or mobile device can join.
Hot.
It's true. Name another one.
Yeah.
Name another one. Name a better one.
Hot. I'm saying it's hot.
It's a hot and spicy take.
Like,
reasonable
hot.
take.
Rachel's coming out the gate with this
Yeah.
energy. I
Ooh,
love it.
I know. Me too.
Don't think
need
I
some of
forgot
Woo.
that on my birthday,
Huh?
while I was gone, this book was thrown. Don't think I forgot. Don't think I forgot.
I didn't do
You
it.
got-
Rachel,
threw it?
I wouldn't.
Who threw it?
It was Maud.
You know I don't
But
throw
blame,
books.
I
You
blame,
know I don't
I blame
even,
everyone.
Even books I dislike, I put them down gingerly. I don't throw books.
Yeah,
That's true. I don't either. If you don't know me, I'm Rachel Hine.
And now you know.
And now you know who I am. And I'm joined by Hector Navarro.
She fine.
Maud Garrett is serving detention with Professor Lockhart, but we miss her, and she's going to be back next week. Hopefully, joining us tonight is the magical Amy Vorpal.
Ridiculous.
Ooh, nice, nice.
Look how
Spells.
magical I am.
And ooh, nice.
What happened? What happened? What just happened?
I
she
just
cast a spell.
Can you do it again?
Oh yeah, we haven't gotten there yet, but you've seen the movies.
Oh, I thought something was actually going to happen. All right, no, okay, cool.
Oh
All right,
my
great,
God.
great.
What I was saying before the
Imagination
cameras
spell,
were
great.
rolling was anytime, not only am I in the middle of Hector and Amy, but these two like to bicker a little bit.
I hate Amy so much. I hate her so much.
They're like brothers.
Dumb looking face.
We are like siblings.
You guys, it's settle down.
Okay.
Welcome to our Alpha community. We're so glad you're coming back to Hogwarts with us. We are reading the second book in the Harry Potter series, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Now, I looked on the forums today, and I will say, and this is a fair point, that some people have not seen the movies and have not read the books. So we are going to
Really?
try our very hardest
Really?
to not reference anything
Okay.
in the future.
I like that.
It's going to be very hard,
This is
but
really
we're going
hard,
to do it for
especially
you.
for me because I didn't know I was going to be on today, and I
Yesterday.
So you read
knew
ahead.
yesterday, but I had finished the book over the weekend because
Whose fault is that?
it's my fault.
Okay.
It's
We're
okay.
not
We'll-
going to yell at people
we'll-
for reading.
we'll
okay?
We'll try to.
Slow down.
If
Well,
Rachel.
let's
Hates me.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're.
That's why he keeps asking you back to come to do everything. But
yeah, I know.
That's true.
we stopped at chapter 15.
And remind Amy where that is because I might have.
It
read.
is, and if Rachel and I hear anything, Amy, that if you're having a discussion and we feel like that's
I'll talk
spoilery,
very slowly
we'll
so
let
you
you
can
know.
interrupt
Yeah,
me,
but it
yeah.
is Aragog right here.
Oh yeah.
The big spider.
And you stopped before Aragog?
Right there. Stop right before.
So we don't even know what Aragog means.
Right,
It could
the
be
last-
it could be a spell.
The last thing that happened
be anything,
was
could be anything.
that both Dumbledore and Hagrid got taken away.
Oh yeah.
And then and Harry and
devastating.
Ron are in the cloak of invisibility, like chilling in Hagrid's house. Like what? That's the last thing that happened.
Oh gosh, and also
great.
I forgot I am behind on points. We're the
Oh.
chat. You guys get to people
You want some of my points? You can have some. of my
get
points.
to. Oh, thank you.
How many do you want? How many do I have to give? You want 100? You can have 100 of my
No,
points.
I don't need. I don't want to take 100 of your points.
I don't know what that means. It doesn't mean anything to me.
It doesn't look like anything to me.
Doesn't look like anything. You can have 100 points.
You can't give them. The chat
not?
can give
Oh.
us points.
Guys, ask if Hector could give Rachel 100 of his points, and then
I feel like
y'all
you should
can
get points for
confirm it.
offering that, which I feel
I
like
know,
is maybe
that
your,
is a-
I feel like that's your ploy.
That is
No.
that
If
is
I
a
do,
true
I hope it's-
HP
I hope it's way less.
HP move. Harry
hope it's-
Potter Hufflepuff.
I hope it's way less
That's
points
true.
than what I give. So yeah.
I just got points for something, I think.
Cool.
So, if you're just joining us, we're reading Chamber of Secrets. I missed last week, but last time the Chamber of Secrets was opened.
In the
Enemies
past.
of the air, beware. And we got some Hogwarts history. Did you guys cover that last time?
Not really. What did we talk about last time?
I mean,
gosh,
you were
I mean,
throwing books.
Yeah, we did. We talked a lot about the Death Day party was
Oh, yeah.
mentioned, how it's not in the book.
In the film.
Oh yeah, because you were feeling like you didn't like Peeves in the first book. I remember.
Correct, and I
Do you
still feel like that.
Okay.
I still feel like that. I still feel like so far,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not a spoiler if you haven't seen the movies, but if you do watch the films, and of course I highly recommend them. They're wonderful. They're very, very, very well made. So far, at least as far as the first two books to movies adaptations, I'm not seeing stuff yet that is like, oh, we're really missing a lot of good essential stuff from the story.
I
from
don't
the
feel
books.
like they did that
No.
much. And again, we're going to avoid
Yeah.
spoilers, but I will say that we were chatting about it earlier today,
Mm-hmm.
and without getting into what we were talking about, later in the books, there are characters and plot lines that have a much more devastating effect
Yeah.
in the books, and they're not. It's sort of like Game of Thrones too. I mean, anything that's adapted from a book series that's ongoing, where or you know you're like, oh, I didn't realize that so and so is going to be so important. Oh, we're going to get them in there, and so
Right.
I think the later movies have a bit of an issue with that. But these two are very
They're good. They're great. Yeah.
Yes.
spot on.
Oh, that's right, Team Dobby.
Oh, no.
I got so many points for doing my Dobby impression. Like
Oh, yeah, I wanna see
I
that.
got
Oh no, you don't.
I do.
Oh, Master Rachel, it's so nice to have you here. Will you give Dobby a piece of your clothing?
Don't.
that did come off very strange.
Yeah.
Take it off, Master Rachel. Take it off.
You know what was so fun last week is that I knew that Amy does this Dobby impression. I hate Dobby, hate him in the books, hate him in the films. But I knew that Amy
really
does
great.
this impression of Dobby and it creeps me out. And then what I didn't know, like Amy already does this thing where she kind of does this brilliant Jerry Lewis cross-eyed thing when she goes into watch. Just give us a little taste of that. Watch her.
Dobby goes
It's so good. But then, like, we did a live read, and in the section that had Dobby, it says he said cross-eyedly or whatever. Like, he goes
Right,
cross-eyed.
he goes
It was so
cross-eyed.
Oh my
funny.
God,
Yeah.
that's
So funny.
really good and very
actually,
disturbing.
I want to
Basically
give
all we did last week.
cross-eyed to anybody who wants it. When you need to make a point, and you want to be like passive aggressive, but also show that hey, I'm still fun. You can be like, oh really? We're not cleaning up dishes today. and then it takes the sting off.
But it's still there. I like to
still
do
makes a
cross-eyed.
point.
This is my favorite joke to make is I'll go like
Still
this.
not over the sexual
voice?
innuendo
Oh, yeah.
of Dobby
Take
is
it
like
off.
gonna haunt my
You're
dreams.
taking away points now.
Good. Very good.
That was so pure. That was just like horrifying and great. I don't understand
Have you
the
seen the
hate
pics?
for.
Have you seen the pics of Amy dressed up as Dobby? Because she did it on Mothership like a
it's
year
hot.
ago.
Oh,
Holly's
I
gonna be
think
like,
I
"You're gonna
have.
make me-"
Yeah, I think I
it's horrifying.
have.
It's horrifying.
And I don't understand how anyone. I mean, I get that he's obnoxious in this book, and you're like, God, stop doing that. But he's trapped, and
Yeah.
he can't do anything else. This is the only. He's trying, even though it physically ails him, to help Harry. I don't get how you can hate him.
He is a character designed to be plot stupid. Like for the purposes of the plot, he is of a lesser intelligence, which that kind of. And we had a little bit of this discussion with the
Mandrake babies.
with the
Yeah.
Mandrake babies, where
Yes.
and then even the gnomes the week before that,
The gnomes, yeah.
in Ron's yard about these worlds of Harry Potter, and not just Harry Potter, but like other fictional worlds where if you introduce ideas like this, like and then there's like this sort of lower class being, but they speak English. My brain automatically goes to like, well, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
And I know that in the case of house elves, they're all slaves technically. But then we went a little bit into a discussion, we don't have to do it right now, of like, well, hasn't anybody in the world of wizards tried to abolish slavery? Isn't that bad? Haven't they seen it in the Muggle world that like they kind of did away with that for the most part? Like, so we kind of went into this, and it was there. There's a lot of like because stuff needs to be magical and kind of fit into these
No,
worlds.
I think that's a
you
fair
know?
point, and I think we've talked about it a little bit in the
But
first
it's only
week.
stuff you should discuss when you're like an adult, not as a kid.
Right,
You shouldn't
and
drop
that's-
this
I
on
guess-
a 12-year-old kid.
Right.
Yeah, I guess
You know?
that's because
It's nuanced.
what are they
and it's
gonna?
different. What are they
yeah.
gonna do? When are they gonna be like, oh, Harry Potter's bad? Like, no, like watch
But
Zootopia.
I will say that as we get further into these books too, we do something I really love. Buffy the Vampire Slayer does this really well too, where these heroes are not perfect. They are. They have flaws. They sometimes, and being the chosen one, as many are in
pressure.
storytelling, is a lot of pressure, and
I
other
love-
people can't
thing
always
is,
identify
I don't
with
know
it.
love
that
what
if
Star
you
Wars
guys-
did with that.
Yeah.
With Luke
Yeah.
being like, I'm not Luke Skywalker. I'm just a guy. I fucking love
Luke
that.
Skywalker's the best character
so
ever.
much.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you guys have talked about this, but how Harry Potter was kind of the first middle grade fiction that actually aged the character, because you had Boxcar Children, they never
Yeah.
aged. Nancy Drew never aged. Hardy
Oh
Boys.
yeah, they're
Wrinkle in
immortal.
Time, did they
Yeah.
age? Wrinkle in Time, I know, was a generational story. Eventually, Madeline
They
L'Engle wrote
do age, and I think the Narnia
Kids.
I don't think the
maybe.
Narnia kids
But I don't
age.
know, because I don't know
They
that much
do,
about.
don't they?
Narnia kids age,
They
but
do.
You don't see them for more than a book usually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Thanks.
But this is like aging in real time, kind of. That like every book represents a year
Right.
in these kids'
It's
lives.
it's a serialized version, and the books track the age difference in terms of maturity level and like
That's
depth
true. That's a good point.
as well.
As
Like,
opposed to the other things we're describing, it's like you meet them as 12-year-olds, and then in the next book or a couple books later, it's like it's in the future and they're 30 and they have kids, and so you don't
right.
get to
And
kind of
they're-
see.
but
Yeah.
yeah, they start having crushes and pimples and the stuff that you do. when
yeah,
you're-
being 12 sucks.
I dug it. I had a very good year. when I was 12.
I
Shut
was
up like a weed.
Yeah, same.
Oh yeah.
I didn't shoot up like a weed, but I
did not.
It
I
was
was
it
short
was
forever.
glasses and
Still am.
braces city and like just staring at boys, just staring at them. I couldn't
Yeah.
just being like,
Nice.
What's
they're like,
happening?
Nice.
do you like me? And I'm like, no. Yeah, it was awkward.
I grew 5 inches in one summer.
That's awesome.
It hurts so much.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It hurts. Yeah, you get.
Yeah.
That's a lot to grow.
But I've
It's
never
short.
heard of it hurting.
yeah, the
do-
growing
yeah.
pains.
for
That's a real.
Like,
Yeah,
remember
no.
the TV show Growing Pains? It's named after a real thing. Growing
Yeah.
Pains.
As
It's
long
real.
as we can't.
Oh wait,
see.
no. Remember when Leonardo DiCaprio said, "Wait, okay, before we get into the book, wait, okay, do we get points for tangents? I really,
We're about to.
Can I? Do you guys mind if we pause? Should I do it at
Yes.
the end,
No, now.
or should
We'll
I
do
do
the
it?
tangent.
I
What are
could-
you
I'm
talking
nervous.
about?
Okay,
wanna
so
know what it is.
I saw Annihilation, so I wanted to
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about it a little bit.
Gotta talk
And
about
we all-
that.
Yes.
Okay, we get a small amount of time, but
dug
since
it.
we read it together,
I dug it.
I finally saw it.
I have one glaring issue with the film.
Yes,
Yeah,
what is
'cause
it?
you read it too.
Wait, spoiler
I
alert,
read-
if you haven't seen the movie or the book, we're going to talk about it for like 5 minutes.
Good call.
If you want to read them, you should. All 3. If you want to see the film, you should as well.
But also, studies
ladies,
have shown that if you have things spoiled for you, it doesn't mean that you
I
in fact
agree,
enjoy
I'm
them
just-
more. So just maybe just
I'm
like
spoiled
check
all
this
the
out.
time on everything
Yep.
forever,
Yeah.
but some people don't have to do that. So
I read
Made
all
it.
3 books.
Yes.
And then I saw the film.
Yeah.
And the most glaring problem I had with the film that actually makes me think like, oh, please don't see the film before you read the books, is when Gugu says. Finds out, oh, the DNA is prisming through
Oh, yeah.
in itself. That may not be the explanation of what's happening. However, it's such a good explanation. It wrecked it for me because I was like, wait, the whole books are about, what's going on? I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know.
there was
I don't know.
definitely
I don't know.
too much exposition
The-
in this movie,
yes,
and I
the-
felt like the psychologist too at the end was like, "Oh, and I was like, okay, you
Yes.
could have just exploded in light."
Yes,
We got it,
Yes,
I feel like.
yes, the defining, even though they're still guessing, that definition was like, oh, well, fine. Like I didn't have any fun figuring out, like, and because
As I
it's-
recall, you didn't have
because
any
it's so
fun reading the
different.
book either.
No.
You were horrified and also frustrated.
It was
Yes,
in the middle.
horrified and frustrated.
One
but-
was too
but that's what
vague
got
and
me
one was too
through-
specific.
Yes, that's what got me through it. Like that's what kept me going back. I'm like, oh, I'm so frustrated. Maybe they'll keep telling, no crumbs, no crumbs, and then I finished it. And
Yeah.
and then with the movie, I'm like, if I had known that reading the book, I would have been like, no, I know exactly what's going
Book's
on.
not a big
Yeah,
deal.
I
Who
agree,
cares?
I agree with that. What I really liked about the movie, and then we can get back to Harry Potter. And if you guys haven't read the book, you can watch it. Our past episodes right here
Yeah.
on Project
Oh
Alpha.com.
yes.
I loved that they took, and again, I think there was too much expository dialogue, but
Look at how much wine Amy has. Did you see this? It's ridiculous.
wow, Amy.
You're like an Amy Schumer sketch.
Drink.
Wow.
This is Coke Zero.
I know.
Oh, is it really?
Sweet
It is
berry
Coke Zero.
wine.
Yeah,
it's
super
just
wine.
soda.
Wine.
You're supposed to say you're supposed to spit this stuff out, but no way, Jose, am I spitting this stuff out? It tastes like fruit.
That was me basically wine tasting.
Yep.
Oh my God. Yeah.
It was a nightmare, but a beautiful nightmare. But what I loved was that it really took the idea of, and we talked about this with the book, but it really took the idea of depression and grief.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the final scene with the double,
So weird. And
for
cool.
me, that was such an interesting parallel looking at these 3 characters, and that
Mm-hmm.
one wanted to embrace what was happening, one wanted to fight it, and one kind of just became it. And the idea that the double, like this is getting like really like English, but it was like, it felt like the double was depression, and no matter what,
Yeah.
she was changed when she came out of it, even though she got out. Like all of one of them.
That's a great.
One of them lost herself.
interpretation, yeah.
The beautiful like flowers with the scars really got me, and then but that I felt like was a really strong theme that that really expanded on the book. And even though the book was like fucking much weirder,
it's going to be really interesting to see how people feel about the movie years from now. I kind of think it is going to hold up there because there's a lot to talk about. Even though there is definitely like movie Hollywood explanations of certain stuff, I still think that the end is kind of ambiguous. That throughout it, that, you know, this is kind of their interpretation, but it's almost like, did y'all ever see Mission Impossible 3?
yes.
The villain was, thank you, MI3, it's
don't
the best one.
remember.
The villain it is. Mission
need
Impossible, get out of here. Rachel, you know that's garbage. Okay, I guess we have to rank all the Mission Impossible movies. Let me tell you why Mission Impossible 3 is the best one. Philip Seymour Hoffman is the best villain in any of the Mission Impossible movies. Philip Seymour, you haven't seen it yet? So you'll come over to my house. No, that one with the chewing gum and the terrible. That's
No,
awful,
I actually
awful,
really
awful.
like the most recent one because I want
Yeah, Rogue Nation's great.
because
and
I
that's a
want
great villain.
what's
Rebecca Ferguson.
yes.
She's amazing.
I want her to
But
get her own action
back
franchise.
to Mission Impossible 3. In the movie, the
Okay.
MacGuffin, the thing that the IMF were trying to track down is the MacGuffin. Yeah, it's close. It's called the rabbit's foot, and they don't know what it is. And at one point, Simon Pegg offers a guess where he's like, well, anytime I see people willing to spend this amount of money to get this kind of tech, I go back to college, and I had a professor who said that at some point somebody was going to develop some kind of a weapon or technology that would just lay waste to everything. It would be the anti-God, is how he described it. So he offers this little like estimation, this guess of like, so anytime I see that, I just think of it's the anti-God. And Tom Cruise is looking at him like, oh shit, and then he goes, but that's just a guess, I don't know. And it's not, and you never find out what it definitively is in the story. But the movie offering that hypothesis means that that's what it is.
Here's the thing that Annihilation, the movie, and I did like it, like definitely up there. I really did love it, but this thing did get me a little bit. The thing is, because we visually see it, there's no MacGuffin. You're right the fuck in it. Like these
But
deer.
do we see it? But
well,
do we see it?
You do. You like
But they lost days
yes,
still.
and-
Like it's all.
Well, that could have been. That I missed from the book quite a bit.
I
but-
missed the journals too, but one of the things did you guys see this? So I know everyone saw the tattoo was on Natalie Portman and on Gina Rodriguez. Did you see it in the in the body that was in the wall that exploded into the wall? The arm had it.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. What was the tattoo? It's the same tattoo?
The same, yeah. And
Oh.
so I think they were by the time they woke up, that tattoo was jumping around from someone else.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, that's it.
cool.
Back to Harry Potter.
But
You
also,
can
real quick,
unmute it.
Wrinkle in Time. You
haven't
read
seen
that
it
book?
yet.
I saw the movie. I really dug it. It's a
Okay,
great
good.
movie.
I'm
it's
gonna
for
try to
kids.
see it this
Go
morning,
see it.
or
I thought it was
this
fantastic.
morning.
If you like the
we
book,
should.
go see
Sure,
it.
go see it. Really lower your expectations from what Hector's
Oh,
saying.
brutal, Amy.
That's what
brutal.
I've heard too, but I'm excited.
It's just. I read the book a long time ago.
For your wife.
The
We
father.
read it. When did we read it? Last year?
Father,
That was like the second book
Yeah.
we read.
father character. I can't.
Chris
That
Pine?
fucking bugged me, and then.
Oh, he made me cry.
Well, all the other. It made me cry too, but man, oh man, those other characters. Look. I like a lot of stuff. I had no idea what the fuck was going on. I had no idea
That's what I've
was
heard.
going on.
But that's what happened when, at least my experience, when we
Of
read
reading the book.
Yeah, I agree.
That was the book.
Yeah.
So because I have the book
Yeah.
a little
Yeah.
fresher in my head, I am totally giving
When
the
was
movie
that
a
written
pass.
though? The 70s?
50s.
The 50s? So
Absolutely.
like their sci-fi is just so, it's
Yeah.
just
It's
like
not
the,
sci-fi.
the
Yeah,
linear.
it's not
fantasy.
It's yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's like
yeah.
it's like spiritual fantasy.
Yeah.
Look, it's beautiful. Hello, Oprah.
Oprah's 100 feet tall. It's wacky.
Okay.
It's fucking great.
I'm gonna see it this weekend. I'm behind and everything.
One of my favorite parts.
I have
we
so
have
many logic
we have
issues
someone
with it,
watching live for the first time.
Cool.
The name is up there, but welcome.
Welcome.
Starts with a D. It
welcome.
has 2 D's in it. Maybe I saw it, but we were in the middle of a
Ooh, Dancing
whole-
Dan, 42.
Twister.
Maybe. Philip Seymour Hoffman is
Wizard?
the best in everything.
Thank you.
I agree
Thank
with that.
you.
Talented Mr. Ripley.
Thank you, Lee. Mission Impossible
All
2 is
PTA
terrible.
movies. Yay, welcome Dancing Dan 42. Welcome to your
Dancing.
first live show.
Welcome, Dancing Dan, 42.
Sometimes we
Wait, is 42 Jackie Robinson?
No, it's the number of the universe.
But
Yes,
isn't
which
it
we've
also-
also read.
Isn't it also? Yeah, it's also Jackie Robinson.
There was like a movie.
Yes.
42, starring
By
Chadwick Boseman.
legendary.
Yeah.
Just ask him what he knows of it.
But it's also the answer to life, the universe, and everything.
Yes.
Very cool.
Which you
One
can
of the
also watch
lost
us talk
numbers.
about on Help Book Club.
Yeah.
We've read so
Hitchhiker's
many
Guide.
books.
Yeah.
It's so
I've read so many
exciting.
I love it. And we're going to read so many more.
We're going to be reading Harry Potter all year if you're just joining
Oh my
us.
God, I just got Lee's screen name. I just got it. It's taken me this entire time.
No, as soon as, oh my gosh.
The whole time I was
Lee.
like, oh, he lost the numbers. Oh, okay, great.
Lee, that's what I thought. But then when he started working here and we actually got to know him, I slacked him and I was like, all right.
Good work.
Tell me what your screen name is. Why
work.
Lost the numbers? He was like, I just am a fan of Lost.
And I was like, oh shit. 4, 8, 15,
So
16,
was
17,
I.
42, 4, 8, 15,
Yeah.
16,
So
20,
was
42.
I. We all were at one point. It's
Lost.
nerd candy.
Lost is pretty great.
Mythology and clues and things that you think are going to mean something, but they don't.
Yeah.
You
Anyway.
sure? You sure about that?
The emotional arc was good. Anyway,
you.
so in this
First
section
time for
we
Benevolent
read,
Witch as
Benevolent
well.
Witch, the
First
bee
time.
Welcome.
Hey, B.
That's a great
That's
name
a
too.
really great name.
Yeah.
That's a
Benevolent
super,
Witch.
super great name. Let us know, new folks, what your house is, your favorite characters. Are you reading this for the first time? Have you seen the movie?
And we will try
So-
not to spoil.
We're going to try our best not to spoil it. So,
Yes.
this section, Hector, you're reading this for the first time.
Yeah.
What do you think of this section?
I'm gonna try to. It's like not in a bad way, but more of the same.
Okay.
I'm not seeing the kind of jump of J.K. Rowling's like, and now the writing is more sophisticated or more nuanced or more layered. Although we did learn about Tom Riddle,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to remember again when we read the first book, the very beginning when Harry gets his first chocolate frog, he learns about the
Nicholas
philosopher
Flamel.
Nicholas
Yes.
Flamel. And again, even rewatching the movie and like seeing how that played out, when I was reading the first book for the first time, by the time we got to the end of it and Nicholas Flamel's name came up, I was like, wait a minute, I do know, what is that from? Still kind of like has that sort of hazy like, what is it? And as the characters are figuring it out, I was like, oh yeah, the guy at the beginning, the one who helped Dumbledore do a thing or whatever. I can't even remember if Tom Riddle is mentioned anywhere else in the first 2 books up to this point.
Right.
So, but it's starting to get like I'm looking forward to getting closer to that revelation of like, you know, of JK, of reading this and going, man, she really had it all figured out. I'm not quite there yet for me.
Yeah.
But there's still mention of Azkaban, which I think was mentioned even in the first book at the beginning.
When we get through to
don't
the
know, I
end,
I think so, but I might be wrong.
I think this is the first mention of
I think it's
in
in
this section.
I think so.
there are different moments peppered throughout,
Yeah.
and without spoiling anything, by
Yeah.
the end, when you get there's one thing in the final book that
It's
is,
like a
and
thing
you're
from
just
the
like,
first book,
wah. But I also think that, without getting into what we don't know about Tom Riddle yet in the book, that was one thing when I watched the movie that I didn't feel like I liked the actor who portrayed him. Like I liked him.
Hello.
I was like, Voldemort is cute. But I mean, Tom Riddle and just did
Okay,
it.
great.
I
Yeah,
just did it.
it's hard.
It's really hard. I'm sorry to the person in the forums. I think
And we
most
have
people have
wine,
seen it. I'm
and
really
we're
sorry.
drinking wine.
I'm really sorry. You can take all my points away. But I think that it just came out. I'm so upset.
It's all right.
Wait, what came out?
Nothing.
Don't worry about it.
But
Well-
so I felt like they didn't get any of the diary stuff.
Right?
Not right, but just not enough.
Okay.
Like it felt
There's-
very
there's more
haunting to
steps.
me in the book.
There's more steps in the
Yes.
book. I remember in the film,
Yeah.
Harry kind of gets the thing and then kind of starts writing in it and then kind of goes back and forth. Like I forget how it happens, how it plays out exactly in the movie, but in the book there's more of like, we can't figure this thing out, and then months are passing.
Yeah.
Right,
You know,
right,
which,
right.
which they do show the progression of time in the films because it's like, then here's the next holiday, here's the Christmas dinner, here's
I will
this
say,
and
do you
this.
remember
but-
last time I had been like, I'm kind of figuring it out, just like Sorcerer's Stone, where I was like, what's in the brown package?
That was the best moment.
Yeah.
This, I was like, I think I remember certain things, but as I was listing them off, the diary came into play in this one, and
Yeah.
so I felt really good about that. That I like remembered something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think Java Boogie Girl says the illustration of Harry entering the diary member was in the illustrated edition.
It was legit. Very nice. Very
T-Boy,
nice.
thank you.
Pretty cool. It was legit in the book. I love the way that J.K. described that section.
I know. I love
very good.
anything. Did you guys ever watch the Disney Channel Alice in
Uh-oh.
Wonderland show? And they
What?
jump in the book. It's like a
No.
live action Alice in Someone look it up, please. It was a really weird, like,
I
early
bet
90s.
it was.
mean,
It was
look at
something
this.
I watched as a kid and that shaped me. I was probably weird and creepy.
Did they do that on Wishbone ever? What else did they? What else
I mean,
did they
Mary
jump into
Poppins, they
books?
jump into
Yeah,
the
that's right.
sidewalk
Oh, yeah.
sketch.
But like, listen to this one paragraph. This is a very good job of describing this.
Okay.
The pages of the diary began to blow as though caught in a high wind, stopping halfway through the month of June. Mouth hanging open, Harry saw that the little square for June 13th seemed to have turned into a minuscule television screen. His hands trembling slightly, he raised the book to press his eye against the little window, and before he knew what was happening, he was tilting forward, the window was widening, he felt his body leave his bed, and he was pitched headfirst through the opening in the page into a whirl of color and shadow. He felt his feet hit solid ground, and stood shaking as the blurred shapes around him came suddenly into focus. He knew immediately where he was. The circular room with the sleeping portraits was Dumbledore's office, and blah, 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 blah. Like,
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah.
The
And just
visual
concise.
language in these
Yes.
books,
Yeah.
that's why the movies, I think, too, are so great
Yeah.
because they have such a wealth of
Oh, yeah.
description to
And
play off
Just
of.
with these first two books, they're getting better, too.
Yeah.
The visual descriptions of
Yeah.
things are getting better.
It's also when he comes out of it, like you know
Mm-hmm.
that he was gone because Ron was like, "Oh, there you are. I was looking for you." So it's kind of fun. Like she does a really good job of like, you're not questioning what the magic is. He left. He was legit in the book. I mean, he
Yeah.
he had a way out, but yeah, he wasn't there. Ron was like looking for him.
And someone, I think it was our Yes I Am, not that, no, I watched that movie too. It was called Adventures in Wonderland, and it was weird. But someone said that I think it was Dan 42,
Damn.
just above,
Dan 42.
a little bit up.
Dancing Dan.
Yes. Dancing Dan 42 said, I also wish they would have somehow showcased in the film the pull Harry felt in his soul toward the diary.
Yeah, that stuff's always tough.
And
Yeah.
of course, and they're little child actors, but I do like this book because this is Harry starting to reflect on his past. He doesn't know a lot about himself. He doesn't know about his family very much. I imagine if anyone in the chat feels comfortable, if how I've had friends who were adopted who
Yep.
have been very curious about
Yep.
where they come from, or your parent has passed away.
Same.
There's many circumstances,
It's
but
relatable and human. Yeah.
it is to think that, is there something wrong with me? Am I
Right.
the heir of Slytherin? Why is all of this happening to me? Why did the Sorting Hat almost sort me in Slytherin? What is it about me that's bad? That's such a relatable thing.
Yeah.
Whether it's your family or religion or whatever, that idea of like, am I doing the right thing? Is this me? And I think that's really a big part of this book that I also didn't feel like was in the movie as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's safe to say that the movie adaptation, Chamber of Secrets, is probably the weakest of all of like the 8 movies. But it's like still a solid movie, which means
Yeah.
it's just a very strong film
It does-
franchise.
Yeah, it does the
you know?
thing. I
It
need
doesn't
to
push
watch.
stuff crazy because it's just kind of a sort of a paint by numbers,
Yeah.
like, here's the mystery and,
and it's
here's
Christopher
the thing.
Columbus
Yeah.
as well, right?
Yeah.
Those first two, yeah.
Yeah, I need to watch it again, and I'm going to now that I've finished the book.
Uh-oh.
But what I do like about this, in line with what you're saying, is she paints kids mean, and kids are mean.
Oh, kids
Yeah.
are really
They're-
fucking mean.
They don't
Yeah.
know yet what. They don't know yet how their reactions and,
Here's
and
what I like
actions
about it.
cause.
Here's what I like about this, and what I like
emotionally.
about great fiction that shows shitty kids, is that J.K., at least in the beginning, they're just shitty kids, right? Malfoy is just a piece of shit. But then in this one, we see his dad, and we're like, oh, okay, I get it. And it starts to hint a little bit more towards the home life, the family life. And even in the case of Tom Riddle, this weird character who shows up,
Yep.
he doesn't want to go home for summer break. He doesn't want to go home to that, is what he says.
Yes,
Just really
Which is
briefly.
exactly how Harry feels.
Yes.
And,
he's like-
Harry even comments on that. So
Yeah.
like JK's already
Right.
planting the seeds of like, look, yes, kids are mean and they can be cartoonishly, bullies for the purposes of these stories.
Bullies often
but-
come from bully parents. Yeah.
Yeah, and another thing that they show Lucius being a dickhole, Snape's a dickhole, and you're not sure to what level they're a dickhole. Like you don't know. Like, are they
I've
practicing?
never heard the term dickhole so many
Really?
times in one
Oh.
sentence. No, not ever, but just like so many times in one
Yes,
sentence.
they're. You're welcome.
Thank you.
But we don't know. Like, are both of these characters
Dick holes.
Yeah, no, like
No, that's
practicing, I
confirmed.
know, practicing the dark arts, or are
Yeah.
they just mean, or
Right.
are they like misplaced, or is Harry, trying to understand? Are we seeing them from a kid's point of view? And that's what's fun to me is we actually don't get which side or who they are yet because we don't see their
I'll
parents.
also say this: if you read all the books already or have seen all the films and you know the answer to that question,
Yep.
where do the Malfoys actually fall on? It still doesn't like take away from rereading it. Like it still works
Yeah.
Yeah.
where they are up to that point. You know what I mean? Like it still works for however the characters are being utilized in that story. It makes
And
sense.
from
it
what
still
I
works.
remember, it's a pretty gray area for a long time for the meanies. You're still like, wait,
It's
what?
still.
A lot of
I
them,
mean,
yeah.
there's shitty. There's shitty, and there's we want. Basically, we want to wipe out people who don't fit our mold of what we think like wizards should be. I
Yeah.
mean, they're wizard
And
Nazis.
The
That's what
Tamaranian
they
had
are.
a comment in the chat that said, "Hot take: if Michael Shannon were British, he would have made a great Lucius Malfoy."
Who?
Michael Shannon, who played General Zod in Man
yeah,
of Steel.
but I love Jason Isaacs.
Jason Isaacs
He's
is perfect for me.
He's
That's why I read that
so
comment to just be
good.
like, "Great comment," but Jason Isaacs is the dude. I love him.
Yeah.
he's
and
the best.
he was such a. Once we get to the end, there's all sorts of. I just remember with the fandom.
Don't spoil it.
No, with the fandom at the no plot points with the
Yeah.
fandom at the time when the movies finished and they had grown up with
Yeah.
the movie the way that we had grown up with the books, and he posted this thing about the kids, and it was just like the
you're gonna
sweetest
cry?
thing.
Really?
No.
Oh man, he's great. He was so sweet to all of his Star Trek cast members.
He's just a
in this
really
season
good
of
dude
Star
who
Trek
plays
Discovery.
awesome
I know,
bad
I know.
guys. But
He's awesome.
I do like the parallels with Tom Riddle and Harry,
Mm-hmm.
and I like this idea because I just find it fascinating in general, the nature versus nurture
Mm-hmm.
conversation, which I think is obviously a combination of many factors. It's not that
Yeah.
simple, but the fact that Harry could have very well become
Yeah.
a bully because of the way that he was brought up
Yeah.
and lashed
Yeah.
out at people because he was treated that way. Not that everyone
Yeah,
who
why
is
wasn't
treated.
he?
I do think that there is a not to be corny, but like a mystical there's how you grow up. There's all these factors. There are people who will get
Mm-hmm.
way more opportunities than anyone, and there's also like your personality and your strengths and your
And
weak
your genetics.
Yeah.
but even just like something else.
Yeah.
There's something else that makes you. I don't know. Whenever I think about I'm gonna go. It's my stoner talk again. I'm not high, but I always feel like I'm like, whoa, what if this thing?
Ooh.
But this idea that when I think about myself, I don't think about my body,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think about my brain. There's a me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What is that?
A soul? Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know.
It could have, but that idea that there's so many factors and there's so many ways that people get beaten down and yet find a way to keep fight. There are so many people like that in the world. And so I like that
That's true.
you're seeing two sides of this coin where, Tom Riddle is so much angrier, I think, than Harry is, at least at this point in the book. And
There's so many great
it's a
examples
good parallel.
of those kinds of parallels across fiction.
Black Panther.
Black Panther and
Yes.
Eric Killmonger. What a
Yes.
great parallel.
But that's
Yeah.
and
What a
that's
great
also
parallel.
that is a
Yeah.
I mean, being placed in two very different
Yep.
worlds
T'Challa comes
that
from
will
a place
change
of privilege.
that will
and,
change you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It reminds me too of there's a lot of versions of Superman. Speaking of Superman, we were doing that earlier, Amy. A lot of versions
were
of
speaking of Superman
We were speaking
earlier.
of him.
Pretty
there's,
fun.
There's lots of versions of the story where it's like, well, what if Clark Kent wasn't raised in Kansas? Would he still be a good dude? What if he were raised in Soviet Russia by the Russian government? What would happen? What if he were raised? What if when he was sent back in time, he accidentally landed in 1938 in Germany? And he were raised by Nazis, and Adolf Hitler got a hold of him. What if he were raised by the Waynes? He lands in Gotham City in one version of the story. And because Thomas and Martha find this little baby in a rocket, they don't have Bruce Wayne because they're like, well, here's our kid. And they adopt him. And in a lot of those stories, Superman is shown to be evil because it is that sort of the nurture that he's missing
Yeah.
from being raised by Jonathan and Martha Kent. He's now going to be a piece of shit. But in a lot of those stories, he will be found by the government, hidden away down in a bunker because the government realizes that he gets power from our sun, from our yellow sun. He will still be like a good person because there is, I think, the thing you were describing, Rachel. Like, we like to see stories like that. We like to see
Yes.
that in Harry Potter, even though he was beaten down on. He still is like the best of both of his parents, Lily and James Potter. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
not to get super dark too. But
That's fine,
Like,
let's do it.
I
All right.
thought about if I like what would happen if I got super sick, or if there were things, something
Mm-hmm.
like that, like I, God bless and all of knock on wood, never. I'm healthy,
Mm-hmm.
but I've always thought like, what if I'm just not healthy, or there's something that I just don't have, like an arm or something like that. Like what
Yeah.
what would I be? And I think there's a lot of decision. I think there's a lot of conscious decision that you have to go into it with. But yeah, same thing. Like I've always thought like I just don't know. Like would I tend to just be the sad person that I'm just a weight on everybody, or would I like?
Yeah.
You don't know
keep-
what those circumstances, and I feel
Right.
like the same as if you have grown up with something, whatever it may be, some
Yeah.
sort of hardship in any way, emotional, physical.
Right.
You're born in the wrong country. You're
Yeah.
born in a country that doesn't have resources. What? There's so many things that it could be.
You're born a woman. It's tough.
Well,
Which-
yeah.
I
My
mean,
life is 50% better than y'all's. It's just
but like
easier.
any sort of trauma or disadvantage.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people that I know who have gone through that, who are very strong, would say like, well, I wouldn't be the person that I am if I hadn't gone through
True.
that.
That's
and
very true.
so I think what's just bringing it back to Harry Potter is that this is a story about, we learned that he was protected by his family, but we also learned that he's finding friends.
Mm-hmm.
He's experiencing this thing as someone who is chosen for some reason that we don't know.
Yeah.
And like Buffy, there are other vampires. I mean, just to bring it to Buffy, because I'll talk about Buffy all day, but there are other Slayers.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason that Buffy lasts so long, that's posited in the show, is because she lets people into her life. She has these humans and
Yes.
she has other
Relationships,
people,
yeah.
and they challenge her, and she can't kind of harden
I was
herself
having
in
this conversation with my twin sister, and she and I are very similar in that we are very goal oriented, and in a sense that like if you can write it on a list and check it off, hell yeah, like that is our bread and butter. To the point of nurturing friendships or nurturing a relationship or anything like that isn't natural, because you can't write it down and check it off. It's
interesting.
literally spending
Yeah.
time with a person.
It's
but
tough.
how do you gauge? Like,
Yep.
what is the notch on the beaker that that you can't? So we were actually having this conversation of how she's married and a mom and kids and loves them, and I'm very different. I'm very single, but how.
Very
That's
single.
that's crazy.
But
that
like
you guys
how,
are, yeah.
but how different.
That's fascinating.
Yes, it's very weird because I mean we both kind of somehow we were very different, but we both like kind of think the same way, and so we were kind of brainstorming on like what that would look like with her and her family. Like, what does it look like to achieve a kind of relationship goal? Is it making your child smile for 5 minutes? You
Yeah.
know, and then
Yeah.
for me, like, what would that look like to nurture a friendship? And it's like, do we just check in with my friends that they're not. Look, I'm a big fan of whatever's in your room right now. That's your life. It's hard not to know that. Like, I'm here with you guys. We're friends. We're doing this. This is fun. But does that mean that my other friends go out of my mind? Yeah, it kind of does. So it's kind of like, I got to remind myself to be like, no.
Checking it.
Check
No,
in.
it's an
Yeah,
we're
it's-
on it, but it's like
we
an
are on the
emotional.
tangent.
Emotional intelligence, I think, is something that kids should learn, and I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that books like this do teach you that you do have to think about each other. And someone was saying, about Harry's parents. So far, we only know them as sort of like these kind of mythical people.
They're perfect.
They're perfect.
Right.
And what's interesting is that, DeMarco is going on to a tangent about, but it's this idea that Harry is learning so many things from so many different people. He is very fortunate to have those people, and he's still grappling with this idea, especially in this book. Not just am I the chosen one, but am I also the heir of Slytherin? What does that mean? Why did I
Right.
have this power?
I almost was sorted into the Slytherin house, and there's a section, and this is the section where he sees again the Sorting Hat, which we learn is like just like a flappy hat when it's not being activated to do its job.
yeah, I love
It's just like
that.
in Dumbledore's office, so Harry goes and puts it on, and because it's a moment where he
You
can
must
again
be so bored.
think about, or like, is it alive? It's a whole thing. You don't want to
Yeah,
like
that's
remember.
true.
Remember we talked about, and I think
remember.
this.
Oh,
I think
I
this is the section
remember.
too where they have the dueling contest, and then like Malfoy like brings up a snake. And then later it like disappears. It's like, what the fuck was that?
What happened to
actually
the snake?
Did it? Did it?
Yeah.
Was it
Oh,
alive?
God.
Was it alive? And does it go away like when
Yeah.
we were talking about the transmigrification class or whatever, where like Hermione was showing off all the buttons that used to be beetles, and it's like,
Right.
cool. Did you kill beetles? Are you gonna bring them back? Are they
Well,
gonna like?
I mean, yeah.
And so that's, but that's,
Oh.
don't
We
think
did-
about
we
it.
did
Don't
get
think too
into
hard
it.
about it. But
Oh,
the point is
no.
that the Sorting
I
Hat,
know. It
the
changes
Sorting
everything.
Hat
Oh, God.
is a moment for Harry to again reflect on like what my life could have been.
Well, yeah,
because he was
I think-
almost, he would have done well in Slytherin.
I don't remember the book or the movie. They made it. It was with. God damn it! I can't remember. Anyway, it was about these kids who are raised and they do art all the time, and they're in this boarding school, and you find out that they are basically raised as clones to harvest organs.
It's a movie and a book, and it's called
Yeah.
Never Let You Go. Never Let Me Go.
Never Let Me Go.
Right?
It's also
Keira
the
Knightley
premise
movie.
for the
Yes.
movie The Island, directed by Michael Bay.
With
It's also the
Ewan
premise of that.
McGregor.
Yep, and
Okay.
Michael Clark Duncan, rest in peace. He's great in that.
But what reminded me
And Scarlett
of it is
Johansson.
that the one of the girls that focuses on constantly looks through porn magazines because she thinks her mom might have been a
'Cause they don't
prostitute
know.
because
Yeah.
they don't know who their parents are, but
Oh.
because of the situation they guess and figure it out, and she's like, well, if I'm this, I definitely was harvested from the lowest of low life people, so it had to have been maybe a porn star. So but that's I think where your mind goes. It's like, well, if I'm here, it had
Then
to
I'm
have
the
been
lowest of the
a
low.
shitty
Yeah.
situation.
Right.
And so what if I'm evil?
Yeah.
And I'm
Well, it's
Slytherin.
like, I
Your-
mean,
your mind will
divor-
spiral down to the
divorced
worst.
kids who grow up with divorced parents.
Yep.
Automatically, there are books about it, movies about it, Mrs. Doubtfire, whatever.
Yeah,
Kids are always
great.
like, my fault.
Yeah.
Had to be my fault. I'm the
True.
only common denominator. And
True.
obviously, maybe that's true sometimes, but generally
It's
not.
never
I mean,
the case, Rachel.
Not their
That's so
fault,
messed
but
up.
like there exists. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, that's enough
sorry.
wine for you. Okay, I think that's good for the.
Not their
Yikes.
fault, but like children. No, my dad says that.
Children are. Wait.
It's a joke.
Wait.
It's a joke. He says it's your fault.
No.
No.
There is a
This
documentary.
marriage.
Yes. Children
He won't
kill
watch
marriages.
this.
But hold on.
Wow, what?
No, I will say. I'm going to put this in context. There's a documentary of a guy who takes wedding videos, and he went back in time. He went back to everybody he did a wedding video for, and asked if they were happy. Like 10 or 20 years later. 10 years later, everyone was happy who didn't have kids. The people who did have kids were like, well, God, it is
Really?
tough. Yes.
The
That's-
people who
Yes.
didn't have kids,
The
or
people
did?
who did not have kids were like, yeah, this is great. Yeah,
Oh,
we're
yeah.
still
Still
very
happy,
happily
married
married,
10
and we
years
love
later.
each other. And the people with kids were just really working through it.
I'm not
That's all
saying
I'm
it's
gonna
the
say.
child's fault, but
The process
You
of,
give a
of
lot
raising
of yourself.
kids.
You
yes,
sacrifice.
exactly.
You sacrifice a
you
lot with,
lose parts of. You can lose parts of what
Not
made
saying-
the relationship.
Yes, and not saying
for
it's
the
not
child.
beautiful to have kids and all
Yes.
that stuff. I want children, but apparently, and I don't know. I don't think anyone can know until you go through it.
Oh, you're freaking
you
me
are
out.
you
This
are
is
like
great.
me.
Ugh.
I can go fuck off because this being needs about 100% of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
And I was one of those kids who thought that. I just want to put that out there. My parents got divorced when I was 2.
Yep.
I felt that way. It is
Yep.
not the case. I was making a really dark joke. But please, you can take points from me if you want. But like, we've talked about my love of Hook and Mrs. Doubtfire and all the divorced kids
I
movies.
forgot. Hook is a divorced kids movie.
I
Yeah,
forgot
and
too.
And
Yeah.
and it's also a lawyer dad who's like
Yeah.
working a lot.
Oh, and he misses the ball game.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
he does,
insert
doesn't he?
insert dance recital.
Oh my god.
So that was.
I
that
mean,
was
he
you.
felt bad, but
Yeah.
I love my dad.
Yeah, but he felt bad.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
totally. Of
Good,
course he
good,
did.
good,
Parents
good.
always feel bad. But
They should.
someone in the chat said something really great about choice versus destiny, which I think is
Ooh.
another thing that's part and parcel of the chosen.
Parcel tongue?
Oh, which is
Parcel
a
mouth?
code you can use to get all your
mouth.
friends.
Whoa, is it
into the
parcel
book
tongue or
club.
parcel mouth? A parcel tongue?
Parcel tongue.
Parcel tongue is a language. You are a parcel mouth.
Oh,
Yes.
I see. Thank you,
It's
thank
a
you, thank you.
descriptor
Yes,
of
Cool.
but the
a
code is
human.
parcel tongue. But
It's like you're Mexican, but you speak Spanish.
Game
Got
Wizard,
it.
I think Game Wizard said that is always the thing about destiny or prophecy or fate is that despite it being seemingly predetermined, it is our free will and choices that dictate if those things come to pass. Without spoiling anything.
Yeah.
Big part of Chosen One
Yes.
mythology.
Yes.
Luke Skywalker,
Yep.
The Matrix,
Yes.
Harry Potter. I mean, every single
Bilbo
one.
Baggins and
Bil-
Frodo Baggins.
Bilbo and Frodo. Both of the Bagginses.
which I just rewatched
Kinda
Fellowship
chosen.
this
Yeah,
weekend.
it's great, right?
It's so good.
How do you feel about the Hobbit movies? Do
Boo.
you hate them, or are they
Sorry.
okay?
They're fun. They're fun. They're fun.
No offense to Elijah Wood. I love Elijah Wood.
I
much prefer.
I fell in love with Elijah Wood.
I much prefer
Yeah.
Bilbo and Martin Freeman as a character to Frodo, because I think Bilbo in his adventure is like funnier and more fun.
But The
And
Hobbit is
Frodo's
more
like-
fun than Lord of the
Yes,
Rings,
but-
the book.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
and Frodo
But it's
is
not
a
supposed to
child.
be
like he
three
Yeah.
doesn't know
movies.
what's going on. Like I don't.
Yeah, I know.
The Hobbit is shorter,
I know.
I'm pretty sure, than this book.
I know, but even then, even this,
And they
like,
made
length
3
aside,
movies.
Length aside,
Three
the
movies.
character, guys, can we at one point when we're done with this, can that be our next thing?
Hobbit?
Every month do Hobbit and then Lord of the Rings 1, 2, 3.
I don't.
Yeah.
We gotta read the
Yes,
Lord of the
yes.
Rings.
Fine.
You have to.
Yes. Next year.
Next year.
Maybe.
After this, that's
BCom
the next
makes the final
logical-
decision.
I'm
That's the
gonna
evolution.
Just
man.
The
I'm gonna be
Hobbit.
reading the Silmarillion here in a bit.
No, thank you. Not until they make a
Again,
movie, or
I've
that's
only
the
read it
basis for the
once.
Amazon show. I will
No.
never look at that shit. Nope.
Um,
I got a buddy who's super single. Real. What did you say earlier? You're like real single.
very single.
Very single. I have a buddy who's very single and was like, I guess I'm at the point where I'm gonna start reading the Silmarillion. That's what he said for him being single, which is really really funny. Yeah.
It's really single.
Yeah, that's,
Game Wizard, that's
he said he was
fair.
at that point of being single where he's like, I guess I'm at the point of being single where I'm just gonna read the Silmarillion now. Yeah.
I reached it. I didn't even know that was a thing.
That's awesome. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it is
I
awesome.
don't need anybody. I just need my J.R.R.
Tolkien.
I just need books. Yeah.
Y'all.
But I would love to do it. Love to do
Ooh.
it.
You guys, I'm
Speaking of
crushing
nurturing
it.
relationships. Oh
Nicely
shit.
done.
Where did I get all those points? Did I
Man.
lose?
Because you are spitting truth.
That's true.
You
but
really
I
were.
insulted.
But here's
poor
what I like too
children.
is just having seen the Harry Potter movies, there's a little bit of that. I prefer Bilbo to Frodo. I prefer some of the side characters to a lot of kind of boring main
Gilderoy
characters.
Lockhart.
What?
Do you love Gilderoy Lockhart?
No. I mean, I love Kenneth Branagh. He's hysterical. He's really
Yeah.
great. But what I'm saying is,
he's perfect from the book.
he's perfect. But like, no,
I
I
don't
love the
understand.
character of Gilderoy Lockhart.
I just
but,
don't
But I
understand
thought that
how you can watch
there's-
a movie before the
there's-
book when
oh,
you're about
that's
to
fine.
read the book.
No. There's
and
two
then you're
different.
comparing.
Those are two different answers. If you're asking me, do I like Gilderoy Lockhart? If I'm putting myself in the frame of being in the story of Harry Potter, no, he's the worst. But as Hector Navarro, do I like Gilderoy Lockhart, the actor, the character? Yeah, he's fucking great character.
The actor or the character?
Both.
Okay.
Both.
Okay.
Great.
Wait,
great.
so what don't you like?
The point that I'm trying to make is that having seen the movies, Harry Potter with this chosen one type of character comes across sometimes, a lot of the times, as boring to me, as somebody who is just fated to be a hero.
reactive.
Reactive, right. But then the thing I've been enjoying is that in the book, there is more...
There's conflict.
There's
Agency.
conflict and agency, and they go. And in this one in particular, up to this point, Harry is actually having that struggle of like, well, am I this chosen one,
yes,
or
it
can
is-
I, So I like that about the books, and I think they do kind of expand that a little because we get to spend more time inside Harry's head. You know what I mean? That's
well,
a
that's
difference.
why I do enjoy the movies for different reasons and nostalgia and everything. But I want to see, not to bring up the Golden Compass again, but they just cast the show and it's so
Oh my gosh,
good.
Daphne Keane.
But
I can't
remember,
wait. Can't wait.
remember the Pinky Swear.
I will, and it's on Netflix, and I'm not watching it.
It's on HBO,
Swear.
but yes.
It's on HBO.
Yeah.
Pinky swear. Will not watch the Golden Compass
But
before I read the
I
book.
think that books, especially book
Yeah,
series,
That's the only one.
yet. That book series should be adapted into TV
the most part,
because
yeah.
you get to know these characters
Yeah.
and see their development and
But
get that internal
Counter argument.
Okay.
Because you're absolutely right. Counter argument is
am.
film can still provide a spectacle,
Of course.
right? That TV,
But we're
that
in
some
a place-
TV, we
we're in a
are, and it's
place
getting
now-
there, But the difference is that if
Yeah.
Harry Potter were did you know that back in the day Steven Spielberg was aware of the Harry Potter book series, and thought that it should be an animated film series.
I think
Now,
I think
wouldn't
I
that still could have been brilliant. But the fact that, and I love animation, I'm numero uno primo lover of animation. I still understand, for better or worse, that people will react differently to live action. They respond differently, and live action
Yes.
will reach a broader audience.
I am yes. I
So
am.
I love
I'm
the
not
fact
in
that the
your,
Harry
I'm
Potter-
not in your
yes.
animation camp.
Right.
Like I won't watch anything. I will actually be like less likely to watch something if it's
Which is a
animated.
bummer, but that's okay. That's
Yeah.
that's most people in
Yes.
the world. So
Well,
the fact
that's
that Harry
also a-
Potter came out live action as opposed to animated, it means it more. And the fact that, again, going back to J.K. Rowling's like very descriptive visual language, it was inspirational to see that translated from visual effects artists, from special
Yeah.
effects
Some
artists.
of the practical effects.
Practical effects,
the
like all that
staircases
shit
are-
is amazing. And at the end of the day, I am so glad that Harry Potter was that 8-movie franchise that kind of set the bar for what a lot of book series to movies couldn't do.
Yeah.
They never even got to their 3rd movie or 4th movie or whatever.
Yeah.
And like,
No, at
so
the time,
at the
there
ti-
was
and-
no way.
And for the time, they absolutely crushed it. So like the counter argument is, ideally, this would have been a millions and billions of dollar budget TV series that could have taken every chapter and made it an episode, ideally.
Yeah.
But that wasn't going to happen. That's okay. We got this great movie series, and then the argument goes to like, well, why is Amazon trying to do that with Lord of the Rings? Didn't we already get like a great version of Lord of the Rings in movies? I think so, but I know people will say we missed Tom Bombadil, and I'll be like, why? It doesn't. I think that the things that they cut still gave us 3 hours, 9 hours, plus the extended edition.
Yeah.
It's still beautiful. That for that particular project, you got to give me more. You have to do more convincing for me.
So wait, what's your
specific.
point?
My point is that there's 2 schools of thought. There's
There it
2
is.
schools of thought.
Film and
Movie or TV?
I don't.
Movie or
I don't
TV?
think it's 2
Yes.
though. I think that you're right. I
Yes.
think that we are finally in an era where you can make a Golden Compass TV show that
And it'll be killer.
hopefully
And it'll be killer.
will be amazing. But when did that come out? 2007. The
Yeah, like
movie.
06.
I never saw it. I only read the books.
And the books are
Yeah.
amazing.
The books are amazing.
The movie
I heard,
is terrible.
I heard how terrible it was. I will listen to the soundtrack of the movie, but I will not see the
The soundtrack is actually
And
very lovely.
The other thing I'll say too is it relates to comic books and superhero franchises. There are so much material there as opposed to like a book series where there's a finite number of stories. If somebody say, let's make, we're going to do like a Captain Marvel movie. There is like 30,
Yeah.
40, 50 years of comic book stories
Yeah.
You
that
can pick and
that
yeah.
you can pick that like there's 2 schools of thought there. To do the TV show honestly makes more sense to superhero comic books because that shit is serialized storytelling. But now with where movies are and what like the Marvel movies have been doing, where it's serialized storytelling just on
Yeah.
that massive scale, it makes more sense to me with certain characters to like distill that 40 years, which most of it is not good, into 2 hours of goodness versus like let's try to be very faithful to like
Sure.
the adaptation process. It's
Yeah.
like, look, you can do that with Jessica Jones because of even budget reasons. Daredevil, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, that stuff makes sense on
or
Netflix.
even this, like
Yes.
Yes.
You can do street level stuff that's like a 13 episode, because of budget
be 8,
reasons.
though.
But Black Panther
be 8.
needed a 2-hour movie
Yes.
to throw those
It
millions
does
at
depend
it.
on the source
It depends
material.
on the source material.
I think
Yeah.
serialized fiction, especially in this sort of like kid, preteen,
Yeah.
fantasy, sci-fi. I have a very quick question.
Yes.
Is someone in your family a teacher?
No.
You have, because my mom's a teacher, and you do.
I use my
I
hands.
do it too. And
I think
you,
it might be a Mexican thing, which is kind of similar to Italians. They like
Yeah,
to
there's a
use their hands to
Napoli.
make
Yeah.
Yeah. I almost thought about being a teacher.
You'd be a great teacher.
Thank you so much.
I
I'll
am
teach a
You can
class.
still do
I'm
it.
a
I'll
teach
sci-fi
classes.
magician, so I just do
Yeah.
this all the time. And
This is the
I'm making some
what
shit
is it?
happen.
This is the Doctor Strange
Oh,
like
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm shy,
yeah,
so
we
I
did
just
that.
hide behind. I just do this. This is my tell. I found out at Comic-Con. This is my like stressed or overwhelmed tell.
Yeah.
I found out at Comic-Con 2 years ago because someone
Why?
came up to me and was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, why?" And they were like, "Because you do this when you're stressed out." And I was like, "Oh God."
But what were you saying about when it comes to this kind of fiction? You
when
say
I-
TV shows are better
I
now.
think if it's serialized, if it's an arc like an 8, I think they did try to do this with the Dresden Files a few years ago, but I think a supernatural noir, modern noir basically grown up Harry Potter would make a great TV show. I think when you have a character that's growing and having
That feels-
monster of the week
That actually
type stuff.
does feel like The Magicians, though, the sci-fi show.
That's true, and that's based on a book series.
It is based on a book
Yeah.
You know.
series.
Yep.
So okay, we're running out of time.
Oh my gosh, where does
We've-
time get?
That was we're just getting to a
Where
great conversation.
That was really awesome.
It was really awesome.
Your homework this week is to finish the book. We're gonna finish it. Another Harry Potter book. Done. Don't forget, we're also on Goodreads. I just read a really great list of horror books written by women that I will share on
Wow.
Twitter.
Wait, hang on a second. Look at this comment. Scroll up a second.
I saw it
From,
too. I saw it
this
too,
is amazing.
Oh my God, amazing.
Fidget Jones' diary says, "I'm gay, Italian, and a teacher. My hands never stop moving."
Yes, and speaking of that, okay, look, you gotta watch Queer Eye on Netflix. then go straight to Instagram and follow all of those men because
That's what I was just told by my best friend today.
Their stories on Instagram, they all hang out. Like
And you can watch-
they Skype with each other. It's so much
One of
fun.
them was on Fangirling as well.
What was on? Yes, Jonathan
Yes,
Van Ness
Jonathan
was on Fangirling.
Fangirling, which you
Cool.
can watch on Alpha right now.
And Tan, the dresser, just dressed one of the guys from SNL.
Bill Hader?
No, Pete.
Pete
Davidson.
Jameson, he just dressed him. He just like took him on a
Oh,
shopping spree.
great.
So these guys are not going away, and they are the best.
Nice. I was just told that today, so
Yeah.
I'm going to do it. Also, if you haven't told a friend yet to sign up for 63 days of Alpha by using the promo code ParcelTongue, you should do that now. They can come hang out with us. They can check out our other shows. 60 days free, and then you're hooked them. If you're interested in joining us on the show, just let us know on Twitter at Join Team Alpha with the hashtag Alpha Book Club.
Yeah.
And Lost the Numbers, aka Lee, will get you all set up. And also thanks for shouting out all of our links on Nerdist, Lee, because you're the best.
And also, real quick, if there's somebody that has never read or seen the movies and wants to Skype in,
Oh
that
my
would
God,
be
it would be so
amazing.
awesome.
Ooh, that would be
If
great.
that's you and you're watching right now, come and talk to us. It would be great. Love to
This
Skype
would
with
be
you.
the first time you're not yelled at for not having
Yeah.
seen or read the
ever.
books.
Yeah,
We'll be
we
so
just
happy.
want to
Love
pick your
it.
brain.
We'll be so
also,
happy.
Brucifer, we have not read the Dresden Files, but that would be dope.
Yeah.
Make sure you send us your book recommendations to @Nerdist, @Geek and Sundry, or @Join Team Alpha with the hashtag Alpha Book Club, because April's coming up. We're going to be reading another book. We're doing Harry Potter every other month, so what's it going to be? You tell us.
Oh yeah. Wait, what is it going to be?
We're not.
I have some thoughts, maybe some ideas.
We'll
I don't
get
know.
into it next week.
Okay.
Amy,
Yes.
thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you
as
for
always.
having
It's
me.
always
Oh,
so great.
It really is. I'm really happy to
One
always
last
be
time,
here,
a nice
especially.
little Dobby cross-eyed, please.
Would you like to see me cross-eyed, Master Hector?
Oh God.
Anytime I hear my name with the
Amy,
word
where can
master
everyone
in front
find
of
you,
it.
real quick?
I'm at Vorpal Sword.
Vorpal's Word.
VORPAHL.
There it is.
At Vorpal Sword.
We love you so much. I can't wait to see all the points at the end. Bye, guys.
Casilda.